The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on a break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Thursday, August 15th, 2024, Season 20, Episode 17. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from Oxnard, California, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. Got a lot to get into today. Cowboys making moves. We'll get into some transactions that have happened over the last 24 hours. We'll talk about an injury from yesterday's practice that could factor into some of the things the Cowboys are doing, particularly on the offensive line. And we'll also have some practice observations. Yesterday, the Cowboys have another joint practice with the LA Rams. Interesting practice. I'm sure you guys will have some great notes on some players that played well and maybe some moments that weren't so great. We'll talk about that later in the show. Let's start first with transactions. Cowboys are in the process, I'm not sure what the final is on all this, but in the process of trading for defensive tackle Jordan Phillips and also signing defensive end Carl Lawson. What do we know about these two transactions?
Yeah, I'll start with the trade for Jordan Phillips. The Cowboys, they sent a 2026 7th-round pick to the New York Giants in exchange for Jordan Phillips and a 6th-round pick in 2026. So interesting value there for the Cowboys to be able to make this trade. They get experience, a guy that's been in the league now 10 years. He has experience playing at that one-tech position. You know, if you're looking for a player who can come in and be right there in the middle of that defensive line, bring experience, bring a little bit of pass rush, this is your guy. But I think also whenever I was looking at the tape and kind of looking back on the player that Jordan Phillips is, 6'6", 341 pounds. Yes, he is wide. Yes, he does have a big frame, but I think this is more of a pass rush guy than he is a run-stopping guy, just from my evaluation. I think when it comes to run defense, you still need Mozzie Smith to be able to take that next step forward. This is not a trade where it's like, all right, Mozzie didn't do it, so here's a guy that's going to play in front of him. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think this is going to be a situation where both of these guys rotate in just based on which situation works for them better. So situational player that I think could really help them in the pass rush department. Then you look at Carl Lawson.
Well, real quick before you go beyond that,
yeah.
Brian, do you agree on the pass rush versus run stopper? Because he is a massive man.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
sorry, trying to get after it.
No, man, you were getting after it there. I appreciate it. No, I do agree with what he was talking about with the pass rush stuff. I think it's interesting that if you go back and say study the Philadelphia game that Buffalo played last year, the last 30 seconds of the game, you think you would want all fast bodies on the field. They had him trying to kill the game, that he was a pass rush guy. So I think Nick's got him in that regard. I think the 340 pounds makes him hard to move at times. I think there were some double teams and he was slipping some blocks and stuff. I know I was watching the Kansas City game. They've got a little bit of that. Kansas City's got a good offensive line where they were all trying to kind of move him, scoop him, reach him, and he was kind of fighting his way through. I think he's got better range than what we saw with Hankins, and I think he's a better pass rusher than what you saw with Hankins. But, big body guy. And if you just watched, and I tweeted this out, if you just watched the Dallas game from last year of him playing against the Cowboys, you would make the trade just right off that. Like, okay, yeah, give me this guy right here. If you look at his ability, they use him in twists, which is to Nick's point. They play games with him. That's a big man that's moving around pretty well there. So to identify somebody like that, the Giants, obviously, I need to get with my Giants guys and kind of figure out what was going on. It sounds like there were some young guys there that they kind of wanted to move with and try and be with. And so, yeah, you take an opportunity. You watch a guy that played against you pretty well last year. You watch him against some of the division opponents, and you're thinking like, wow, he did a nice job against the Eagles. He handled Kelsey pretty well. Oh, look what he did against the Commanders. Those are the types of things I think that when they were looking at this particular player and it became the opportunity for him to make that trade, or they make that trade, it was one that was pretty easy for him.
Well, something that I've noticed, like even last year towards the second half of the season, people would comment or be like, oh, well, the line is not aggressive enough. They're not getting after the quarterback. Well, this guy, something that I like and that could potentially be really good to add into that group is that he's nasty. Like he will get after it. He's aggressive. He's not gonna take crap from anybody. He's gonna, and that type of energy you do want, especially at that position, defensive tackle. And hopefully it's something that definitely helps stop the run defense as well.
And I will add, if you're an opposing quarterback, this is not a guy you want to see on third down, whether it's a third and short situation, because he can get his hands up and he'll bat balls down. He had a career high in passes defensed last year, so that's 6'6" frame. It extends even further with his wingspan. He's got the length. He's a disruptor against the pass. But again, I want to kind of set the expectation in the sense that if you're looking for the big run stopper, okay, he's going to play on every down. I don't think this is necessarily the guy, but without a doubt, this guy does help in the pass rush department.
Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb here because I'm hearing all these great things about pass rush, nimble, move around, all this stuff. The big elephant in the room is
why
you still need somebody that can stop the run. You still need a big body in the middle. Can he not do that?
This is where I disagree with Nick on this particular. I think that he can play the run. I mean, I totally get the thought about wanting Mozzie to be better. I think this guy, when you look at him, when you watch him play, and as much as the Cowboys will play with linebackers in the A gaps, and then also play with the wide defensive tackles, and his ability to get up the field and the ability to attack the edges and stuff. I mean, there were times against the Cowboys where he actually played as an edge, and they used him in the game. I mean, he was able to chase down. He got hurt on a play in the game against the Cowboys where he was chasing Dak Prescott trying to run the ball. So to me, I will disagree with Nick on the fact is I think he's a better run defender than he's given him credit for.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think it's more so expectation, because when you see the 341-pound frame, I think it's just the assumption.
But you just think of a big trash can full of dirt.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily.
This guy, and I do. I mean, he's got him right as a pass rush stuff. I mean, there are situations, like I say, you watch them against Philadelphia, and they're trying to run the ball, and Jason Kelsey is having problems blocking him. You know, I mean, they can't. He gets in a fight with the guard there at Philadelphia as well. I mean, he just stuffs the guy. Guy gets up all pissed, and now there's a scuffle there. It was on a run play. You know, I think that to me, when you were looking for something better than Hankins, because that's kind of where the benchmark for everybody is like, oh, the big guy. I think this guy's got better pass rush ability, but I do feel like he can help you in some of the run defense stuff that you're going to ask him to do.
Now you got me excited. If you tell me you give me Hankins with more pass rush, now I'm excited.
Yeah, the pass rush stuff is really, for a man that big, is impressive.
Yeah.
It really, and I thought you were going to pull.
It reminds me of Chris Jones. Like, obviously he's not Chris Jones, but that's what it reminds you of, a bigger guy that has that ability. This guy has struggled. He's been with some teams. He's struggled with his health at times. It's been, he had a rotator cuff problem. He had a hamstring problem, and he hurt his wrist in the Dallas game. But if you watch the games, like I say, I was trying to put him up against these offensive lines, maybe an offensive line that he might play during the year, and then with the Philadelphia bunch and all that. I kind of felt like that was something that, to me, like, okay, Kansas City. Nick mentioned his ability to get up and knock passes away. Mahomes is throwing the ball sideways to kind of get it around him a couple of times. He gets out on the edge, all of a sudden Mahomes has to kind of throw it sidearm to trying to get it to somebody else. So, yeah, I think this guy, if you're going to make a trade for a guy, this guy makes a lot of sense.
He does.
They've been kind of going around looking at Carl Lawson now for a couple weeks here.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys they brought in for those tryouts. I guess it was all my days are kind of running together now. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know. But now the Cowboys look like they're going to be signing him. Tell me what's going on with that.
Yeah, so Carl Lawson, while he has dealt with some injuries in the past, when he is healthy, he is productive, and he's twitchy, he's long. And that's what I love the most about Carl Lawson. You see the length, and he's able to use that in his pass rush skills. His chop ability is incredible. His long arms, I mean, they get around. And he's also able to run through guys. He's got some power, too, at 6'2", 265 pounds. I mean, he can blow through you as well. So he's a guy who has a large tool bag of pass rush skills coming off of that edge. And I think it's interesting now because you look at what you lost in Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong, and you slide in Carl Lawson and Al-Qadim Muhammad. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's kind of an apples and oranges comparison just based on stylistic preferences and things of that nature and different defenses. But I think you've kind of matched where you lost as far as experience goes, as far as ability goes. And Carl Lawson's a big speaking point to that. Again, really love the length. As long as he can stay healthy, this is a really welcomed addition to this pass rush unit.
Yeah, the thing with Carl Lawson, and that's a very good scouting report about him, but the things he could do, the length is really going to be important. The veteran, the savvy, and all that. Please don't rush down the middle. Please use your quickness. Please use your ability to fight, with your hands. Feel free to break down blockers like you've done in the past. They're hunting ends. We were all kind of talking about what positions, and defensive end all of a sudden became kind of a sneaky position. We were, you're thinking defensive tackles, running backs. All of a sudden, it's like they're hunting defensive ends out here, and they're trying to kind of figure out the edges. They're moving Fahoko to the outside. They're moving Golston to the other side. They're trying to figure out this defensive end rotation. Carl Lawson, probably initially, money probably not right for him. And then all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, I'm not going to get a job. I'm not going to have a job. Maybe they circle back, and then now the price made it a little bit better sense for both parties.
Yeah, both these signings, I think, or the trade and the signing, I think, in my opinion, what it looks like right now is that the Cowboys have improved their defensive line. And that's something to say in this time of the year, to be able to find guys that actually can help you when you're talking about guys that in one instance was on the street, another guy that was on another roster. That's also what I'm looking at with the running back position. Over the next couple of weeks, will there be opportunities maybe for the Cowboys to upgrade their running back position in the same way, where maybe as teams start cutting players, they find a team that's a little running back heavy, find a good talented running back that just has to be cut for numbers purposes.
Yeah, I want to give. I'm sorry, do you got anything on this you want to finish up with?
Go ahead. I mean, I'm sure we're about to soon start talking about the practice, because that's something that showed a lot in the running back and the running game.
Okay, if I could circle back about the running back stuff. I do appreciate the fact that this front office is just not sitting on their hands. I know people are giving them a lot of crap for things, but they're looking at their roster. We felt like that 2 weeks in, they were going to start to evaluate things. Hey, we're not good enough at defensive tackle. We're not good enough. Yeah, we lost Sam Williams. Not good enough here. We got to keep throwing bodies at it and see. We got to move guys around. That's what you got to do out here, though. You can't sit there and sit on your hands. Yeah, you could talk about the contract stuff. That's a whole nother thing. But team building right now, as we speak, them going out and identifying, we're not good enough at defensive tackle, we're not good enough at the edge, and we got to get better in those two spots. And to your point, yeah, they've got the draft capital to kind of move around. They've got teams they could look at. The Dolphins are a team that's got a lot of running backs. You can make a call to Chris Greer down there. Chris Greer will trade all day with you. He loves trading down there. So yeah, I think they're still. This is not over. They're going to keep looking at this roster and kind of figure out some more things about it.
Really quick, I think this is pretty interesting too. Just looking at the defensive side of the ball and how many bodies that they've added there over the course of the last couple of weeks. I wonder how much influence Mike Zimmer has around here, because you look at a lot of these additions on both sides of the ball, they either have experience with Mike Zimmer or Paul Gunther. A lot of these guys. Yeah. I mean, they signed an offensive tackle yesterday. We'll get into that has experience with Mike Zimmer. So there's a lot of different elements to Mike Zimmer being involved in a few of these personnel decisions, and I think it speaks a lot towards the trust and the confidence that this front office has in Zimmer. Yes, he's on a one-year deal, but I think there's a lot more confidence than just that speaks to it.
He could be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he can.
I've dealt with that, man.
That's also the thing.
In a good way.
He was here for many years.
He will be
There's
honest.
a relationship there, and I think there's respect there.
Yeah.
And so when you start talking about, regardless of the terms of his deal,
right,
I think he's probably still a voice that Jerry respects.
Yeah.
And so if he has something to say about a particular player, whether the player's here or a player that there maybe will acquire, I'm sure that goes a long way with Jerry.
I appreciate what Will and them are trying to do to help him, though.
Yeah.
As you can only, like I say, these guys, the situation's not good with the one-year deals, but none of these guys are complaining. Yeah. They've all got gigs. They're going to do the best they can, and if the personnel department can help them add players, and they say, the bad thing would be if they said, hey, we need an end, we need a tackle, we need, and the front office says, nah, we're not doing that today. We're going to do that. That in itself, that doesn't build trust among the group.
I mean, all it takes, aside from his career that he's had and what he's shown, all it takes is just looking at what he's done in this short amount of time here at training camp.
They had a good practice
and be like,
yesterday.
Okay, what else you want? Tell me. We'll help you out. So makes sense.
Let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about that practice, Cowboys versus Rams. We'll do that in just a second. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Second segment
man.
of the break, live from Oxnard, California.
In a good way.
This is our next to last show. We got one more show next Tuesday, and then we'll be wrapping up Thursday, heading back to our cozy confines at the Star in Frisco.
It's not Monday, it's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, noted. I'll be
You
sure
know
to
that?
put that in. I'll be sure and put that in. No, I
I
did
think
not.
Chris had already put it on our schedule.
Oh, yeah, I don't look at the schedule. I just show up.
Well,
tell you what, that's good. That's good.
That's
no,
one of Derek's
that-
biggest pet peeves
Yeah.
is people not looking at their
I have
calendar
heard
and
about
what is
that.
scheduled
I have
on their
heard about that.
I
calendar.
appreciate
It does
I
kinda work.
appreciate
Slap my
the
wrist, slap my
advice. I
wrist.
really do.
it does kind of work. me
It
over a
reminds
little
me.
bit.
It reminds me.
All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk
something
about
smells
Rams
good,
versus
huh?
Cowboys.
Popcorn, fresh popcorn.
Is that what it is? All right.
Yeah. All right, let's do Cowboys versus
after-
Rams. Cowboys and Rams have their second joint practice, and I'm starting to think they're getting more work out of that than they got out of that preseason game. It really gives them an opportunity to kind of get after a little bit with their starters. And give them some opportunities to play somebody different. But let's go down the line. You guys give me some observations of things you saw yesterday during that joint practice.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent, but I will say we were about an hour and a half into practice yesterday, and I was like, man, the energy around here is just kind of dead right now. And I was trying to identify why, and then I kind of go back and I look at some certain things that happened. Both defenses just dominated in this practice yesterday. I thought the Rams defense played really well. It kept the Cowboys fans quiet, and then on the other side, it was the Cowboys defense getting after their offensive line for the Rams. Big 71 for the Rams had a tough day against Micah Parsons. Chauncey Golston had some wins against him. D-Law had some wins against him. And then in the secondary, Trayvon Diggs was finally able to get some team reps, and he had an interception that is posted on the Dallas Cowboys Twitter page. Really, really cool to see him back and leaping up and grabbing a ball, getting that turnover back on the sheet for him. But overall, I feel like both defenses played really well. Really loved what I saw from Eric Kendricks yesterday. Yeah. Damone Clark was out as he's battling a sore knee. DeMarvion Overshown only played about one series before he came out with a hip pointer. We'll see how those two guys develop as the week goes on, but Eric Kendricks really stepped up and played a big role for them as the week went on, as the practice went on yesterday. But all in all, both defenses I thought really dominated this practice.
Yeah, yesterday I focused more on the Cowboys offense just because this is basically the last time we'll probably watch them go up another team because they're not expected to play in either of the last 2 preseason games. And to me, man, it was a tough watch. The Cowboys offense struggled a whole lot, and then going back to the running game and what's happening there, since the beginning, I was being very gracious and very giving them the benefit of the doubt, figuring out okay, there's no way that all these running backs, and I'm going back to last season as well, that all of these different types of running backs cannot get through, they cannot find a way to properly, effectively run the ball. And now looking back and now what they got, there are moments, they have had moments, but it's just not enough. I don't know what it is. I cannot pinpoint exactly what's happening, because you look at each running back individually, they all have their own set of skills and they're able to show you those sparks and those run. Sometimes Zeke, he just breaks through and finds a way, but it's not happening enough. It's not happening consistently. And I don't know what it is. I want to go back to the offensive line, maybe not doing their job, but at the same time, you look at some of the things that they do, and they do a good job. So I don't know what's going on there, and it's starting to really get concerning for me, because I don't think the Cowboys can go into the season purely relying on the passing game.
Yeah, that was I like what both were saying. I think they were spot on with the observations of this. I felt like Dallas's defense, especially down in the goal line period, that gave me some good encouragement by the guys and how they're involved in, how they're getting their defensive linemen more involved, how they're using Micah Parsons, how they're using the safety blitz, how they're using the linebackers. I think Zimmer's got a really good feel for how to play goal line defense. I think the Rams had a difficult time yesterday. I know Matthew Stafford got hurt during the practice with the tight hamstring, so it was up to Jimmy Garoppolo and others to have to do things there. But I thought overall Dallas's defense was up to the task when it came. You got down there and you're thinking okay, you got to make a stop here, got to make a stand. There were several times where they played the run real well. They had good run fits, as I mentioned. They were able to cover. They tried the Rams tried some kind of deceptives of moving them. Guys stayed in place. I really do feel like, to me, that was a very positive. And Mar and others mentioned, and Nick mentioned as the offensive side of things, I thought it was a rough day for Guyton. And I know that Guyton hasn't practiced. I know the clips show him doing things well. And be careful with the clips, because it's a whole practice. He to himself, he admitted that he was out of sorts yesterday with some of the stuff. Verse is an excellent pass rusher for them, the rookie from Florida State. He's long. He's got that ability. He broke Guyton down 3 times that I saw in this practice, where swatting the hands away. When Guyton's really good, it's hands, it's sit, and it's adjust with. And there are times when he's very good. He had some reps yesterday where he was very good against Verse. But then there were other times where, say, he get a little lungy, hands get a little soft. These are all things that he's going to have to kind of pick up along the way in dealing with these elite, and he's going to see a lot of elite
Week
edge.
1.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett.
If these guys get an
Welcome to the
understanding,
NFL.
if these guys get an understanding that they could rush you and take your hands and move your hands and then grab your corner and then go, it's going to be a long day. So, the one thing I could say with Guyton, he usually will bounce back with a good rep or 2 or 3. It's not like, but when you're going against a guy, it was kind of clear that Verse figured out okay, if he's just gonna put his hands up and not engage with his hands, I'm gonna take his hands and I'm gonna get him off balance that way, and then attack. And I think that happened a couple times. Not every single time. And there were some times in the one-on-one where Guyton did exactly what he needed to do. But I thought the team period, the whole offensive line just didn't have it. They didn't have that where they were really in good in continuity with each other when it came to running game. And then also some of the pass stuff. Dak was having to move. They really couldn't find anybody on the outside. And I think the best receiver they had was down in the red zone on the goal line. When you look at Cooks, his ability to find space is always going to be a plus.
Well, Dak got sacked multiple times.
Yeah.
So in a real game, he would have been on the ground several times.
I think there were three. There was. I know that Verse had two, and Hoyt had two. Their other number 97, their other edge jumped around Guyton one time. Rough day. I mean, it was 2 sacks, a false start, and a holding penalty. And they're lucky on the holding penalty that they didn't lose Zach Martin.
So you would say, like, if there was you had to raise a hand at the end of the day between Verse and Guyton, you're raising the Verse hand?
I think I would.
Oh, I don't know if I agree to that point. It was just from the one-on-one pass rush stuff, and then translating it to the team drills. Yes, he had lows, and there was some bad points there. But the way Guyton got him on the ground a few times, and then when Guyton was exited from the game, Verse was attacking any and every. Like, that's different. Because Bostic and Josh Ball, and he attacked those guys. And from that point on, they didn't move the ball more than 5-10 yards down the field.
Yeah,
so if I had to raise a hand at the end of the day, I think it's a close,
split decision. The third judge, it's a split. It's a split decision. I mean, I didn't know I had the option of a split decision. I was thinking, but I think there's things. One, Guyton hasn't practiced a whole lot, but when he's played, he's been good. I think that he knows that if he's going against these type of pass rushers that can break him down, that the technique has got to be. And like you're right, the one-on-one stuff I thought was good. That's the side of him that you're like, okay, he understands that. But if you were talking about team move the ball yesterday, and Ambar saying, or we're all saying the offense didn't look very good, he wasn't alone. They were kind of breaking down all along that offensive line for them yesterday. It wasn't a move the ball period. It was trying to like it was a first down, a second down. Oh, now we're throwing the ball wide on a third down. Not there wasn't that crispness to their offense like we saw the first time that these guys practiced against each other.
And I also throw this out. I think, and at least from what I've seen, it seems to me that Guyton is a little farther along in his run blocking than his pass blocking.
Yes.
As a run blocker, I'm really impressed with some of the things I've seen from him. And I think that's just probably the nature of becoming an offensive tackle in the NFL. It's going to be harder when you're up against
you see it that way?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
No.
You see him.
I was kind of, when you said it, I went, no, wait a minute now. There's things that he's done with the run blocking stuff. Because I think in Oklahoma, he didn't do a lot of that.
He was asked to do it a lot differently.
But here, the technique and the stuff, his ability to get off the ball, he had some of his best reps, I thought, in the move the ball period was his ability to cut off or to play in space. They didn't. There was one time they asked him to fire off the ball, and the guy swam him, and then he had to adjust back, so it wasn't a negative play.
Right.
I think the run blocking for somebody that hasn't done it very much, I think is actually good. To your point,
that's what I'm saying.
But the pass block and stuff, when he goes against Parsons and Tank, and you're like, okay, hands set, it's all that's together. But he kind of fell apart a little bit in some of his reps yesterday.
I guess my question is, and this is kind of what I was getting to more. It seems like when the bust.
Did I just make your point?
No, kind of. I'm gonna make sure we're saying the same thing though.
Yeah.
It seems like to me when the busts happen, when the bad moments happen, they've typically been in the pass game.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I haven't seen a lot of those types of moments in the run game where I'm like, "Ooh, what was that?" Or, we missed that. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of those in the run game. I've seen those more in the pass game.
Yeah.
By the way, in the pass game, I think he's been. I actually agree with you. I think yesterday, I actually came out of that feeling like it was a good day for Guyton, especially going against someone with the skill level of Verse.
Yeah.
But all that being said, like when I see busts, they typically happen in the pass game, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah. The one time they tried to run the ball with Zeke over in the move the ball period, and they were going to try and go off the right side. And he fired out and got swam, and then the guy went back door and made the play.
Yeah.
So it's rare that he is not connected. It's rare, and run or pass when you watch him play. So I understand your point. But I think for somebody that didn't, his run blocking to me has been surprisingly good.
Right.
Because of that. But yeah,
and I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. I think it's just that's where the inexperience is showing for
that's
me.
Where a lot of it is.
I see experience in his pass protection. I don't necessarily see the experience yet in the run blocking stuff, and I think he's continuously getting better from that.
Yeah.
But you look at the Rams film from the game on Sunday, he looked great in pass protection, but there was a couple of things in run blocking where he was able to, guys got around him, or he didn't necessarily understand the protection set. Like there were a few things that I was like, okay, that's where the inexperience is starting to show up a little bit. And sure, that could be a product of him moving to the left side of the line as well. I mean, that's probably where you're going to have the most adjusting from going from the right to the left from his perspective, because he was still covering a blind side of the quarterback. But going to the left side, it's a lot different as far as outside zone stuff and trying to cover, different types of defensive ends on that side of the ball. I think for me, I still see the inexperience showing in the run blocking. That's why I am concerned when he goes up against bigger defensive ends, this season. So we can talk about Myles Garrett week 1. I think that's a guy that can really use his power to get around him in the run game, whereas in the pass protection, he has a really good footwork. He has really good hands. I think he's going to be able to hold his own more often than not. I mean, we've seen that out here against Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that'll translate to the game in week 1 and translate to the field. It's the run blocking stuff that I do have concerns with, and I think that trickles down the entire offensive line. Speaking to your point earlier, AG, about the run game, I think there is a big problem still on the offensive line about creating holes, and I think Guyton's a part of that. I do, and I think, will he get better as the season goes on? You would hope so, and you've seen him get better just in the time we've been out here in Oxnard. But I think going into week 1, there's going to need to be some adjusting and different philosophies. And one more point to that, if I could, you see tight end sets next to Tyler Guyton more often than not when they're running the ball. They want that protection to be on that side. They put the Brevin Spanfords, the Luke Schoonmakers, the Jake Fergusons over on his side to give him help in the run protection. I think that's speaking to that inexperience and preparing for week 1, week 3, week 6 against Detroit to have a guy next to him whenever they do need to get after the Myles Garretts and the bigger defensive ends.
Do you feel with the switch to BB that they're doing exactly what you're talking about, that they're worried so much about the run offense, that putting BB instead of Hoffman in there is something that I know BB's shown he could pass that and do the things and play a pair, but do you think that they're maybe thinking long term that they could run the ball better with BB in there than Hoffman?
I think that's an interesting point. It depends. Do you want a power guy in the middle? Do you want an athlete in the middle?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of speaks to the rest of your offensive line. What do you have up there, and what do you need right there in the middle? I think if you asked me, week 15 Cooper Beebe versus week 1 Cooper Beebe, it's going to look a lot different.
Sure.
But I think you look at week 1 Brock Hoffman versus week 15 Cooper Beebe, and I think you're probably looking at a pretty even playing field. So do you want to get the reps for Cooper, and do you want to have him out here with the ones? Do you want to start him in the middle of at the start of the season with the ones? Yeah. I think you're going to have to come with some growing pains as that comes along. But unfortunately, they don't have a running back that can kind of work around growing pains on the offensive line.
Well, but that's also,
I don't feel like they do.
That's also the question. It sounds like from what you guys are seeing, you're saying that the offensive line is as much a part of the problems in the run game.
Well, you throw the tight ends in there too. They're trying to figure that out
too. My point is, have you had an opportunity to really be able to evaluate the running backs if the offensive line is really where your problem is?
That's where I'm struggling discovering which one is it, because sometimes I'll see it's the running back not finding the freaking gap and getting in there and doing what they need to do. And then other times it's like, well, dang, okay, what do you expect? Like the offensive line is not creating those holes for the running back. So that's where I'm having a very hard time evaluating this issue as far as the running game, because it is a mixture of both. Sometimes I see one doing well, the other one failing, and vice versa. So I don't know if you're seeing something different, Brian.
No, I mean, I like what you're saying there. The thing about it, I don't need Trey Lance throwing the ball 40 times in the game this week.
Right.
Yeah. You know, if it would do my heart good if Trey Lance threw the ball 20, 25 times. That'd do my heart good. In those other runs, let's load up. Let's see. Just kind of be committed. If you're Mike McCarthy, take the Mike Zimmer approach and go without the play sheet. Just call your 3 base runs and see how well you can really. I just think that we don't know that, because we saw a guy throw the ball 40 times the other day. Where maybe they could have tried some more. If you keep telling us that you like Malik Davis and all that, you give him a lot of carries, but give him more carries. You give him 8 carries, well, heck, give him 15 carries.
Well, you see 8 carries for 18 yards. Does that inspire confidence?
No, it really does. But I just, to me, if they go out there and they try to run the ball and there's problems, then you can now say, okay, I've identified the line is having issues, the running backs aren't fast enough, they're not hitting the holes quick enough, and the tight ends can't block, and Hunter Lipke as a fullback is not the answer. Those are all things I could figure out if you show me that you're committed. Now, we'll see times when they do 9-on-7 out here, well, they'll pop some runs. But, man, throwing the ball 40 times the other day wasn't committed to running the football or finding out if you could, run the football.
So are they committed to finding an RB3?
You know what? I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because I know, and they're not that they listen to us. Well, they do listen to us. What am I saying?
Hi. Hi,
Yeah,
Mom.
how you doing? Good to see you guys. You're doing a wonderful job. The thing they've identified, we keep talking about positions, the tackle, the ends. We talk about the running backs. I think that's the same thing here. I think that they're looking at this and they're going, is Malik we all believe, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, believe that Zeke, Dowdle, Hunter Lipke, right? Top three?
Yes.
If they carry a fourth, are you convinced Malik Davis is that guy?
No, not right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, he's got to be a special teams guy. You would
Yeah,
think.
but that's what I'm saying. If we're all believing this, they're probably looking at the same thing and saying, okay, is there somebody at Tampa Bay or Atlanta or Miami that's better than Malik Davis? Hell, is there someone there better than Ezekiel Elliott? You know, that's what you really, if you're honest with yourself, that's how you should evaluate this.
Yeah, you have two RB2s leading your running back room, which it comes with its pros, but it certainly comes with its cons too. I mean, like I've mentioned, they don't have a playmaker at running back, and if you are expecting growing pains, especially on the front half of this schedule against the defenses you're going up against, you need a playmaker at that running back position.
At this point, though, in the year, do you think you could find that? I mean, even if you were trying to trade for it, I think trying to find a real playmaker at running back may be kind of difficult at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just a guy with some twitch, right? I mean, who would you say is the twitchiest running back right now? I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of Deuce Vaughn.
The Deuce Vaughn one, yeah.
He's there.
Yeah.
So, how much experience is he going to be able to grab in the next week at camp? He just returned to practice yesterday. Yeah. He's going to have a huge last two preseason games to be able to inspire confidence there, for me at least. I don't understand where the playmaking is. Maybe it's Kevontae Turpin. They've been running him out of the backfield a couple times. Maybe it's him. Who knows?
I will say this. I really believe
he looks really good, at least.
I really believe that Rico Dowdle is a really good running back. My issues with him have never been about his ability. It's always about can he stay healthy?
Yeah,
absolutely. Right, that's the biggest thing.
If you guaranteed me that he was going to stay healthy for 17 weeks, I probably wouldn't go grab a running back.
I'm with you. Like I would feel.
I would be willing to give him the ball that much.
I feel comfortable.
But I know there's going to be a day where all of a sudden we're in week 6 and he's out because of an injury and he's missed 2 weeks. I'm not hoping that. I'm just talking about, that things like that happen with him. He hasn't played the whole season like that.
Yeah, it's just I see him, and it's been since he got here with the Cowboys. Yeah. He has these runs where you're like, that was a really good run. And you always just kind of, it's almost like you surprise yourself, but you're like, you shouldn't be surprised at this point. He does it pretty regularly with these nice runs, and I think the question just becomes, can he stay healthy? That's the most important thing for Rico Dowdle. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We'll end the show. I did have some questions for you guys on wide receiver depth. We'll see if we can get to that and kind of talk about that a little bit here in the final segment. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Whoa.
They changed it up on us.
Changed
They
it up.
kept hearing it. They were like, we need to give them more. They need more.
I was wondering if you were just going to read it, and I'm like, whoa,
They saw you read that LG ad, and they're like, we need to give her a little bit more of a challenge.
a little bit more connecting going on here with AT&T.
It changes everything.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break. We only got 2 minutes, so we're going to hold that conversation on wide receiver depth until next week.
Ding.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This segment is brought to you by blockchain.com. All right. So this final segment, what we're going to do is I did need to catch up real quick on a couple news items. Earl Bostic left practice yesterday. Cowboys did sign a tackle earlier, Cole Cabral. But where are they at this point with their offensive tackles? That's, just the bodies are starting to dwindle a little bit. What are you guys thinking and hearing as far as the tackle position?
Yeah, so they worked out 2 guys yesterday morning, Cole Cabral and then Drew Samia. Both of these guys have experience under Mike Zimmer, Samia being a 4th-round pick by Zimmer in 2019. And then in that same draft class, Cabral was an undrafted free agent addition. Looking at Cabral, I mean, he's just a big body that they're able to bring in and be able to help at the offensive tackle depth position. But, you see Earl Bostic go down with an injury. You see Chuma Edoga go down with an injury earlier in the week. There's not a lot of healthy tackle bodies and even less healthy left tackle bodies. Like I said earlier in the show, they shifted Josh Ball over to the left side. He hasn't had many, if any, team reps there during camp, and he just looked out of place. And you look at Matt Waletzko, he's a guy that the coaches have said that they like him more on the right side of the line. Yeah. So you're really just looking at Awesome Richards. And then Nathan Thomas, he hasn't been at camp. He's been injured for the last week and a half.
Tendonitis in that knee.
Yeah, so it's tough. It's really tough for them to be able to find reliable depth right now. So Cole Cabral, they add him. It's just another body. He doesn't have any NFL game experience in the regular season, but right now they need as many bodies as possible at that position. It's getting concerning because if you do get to a situation during the season where Tyler Guyton goes down before Chuma Edoga can get back, you're probably looking at musical chairs on the offensive line again.
Question. Is this an across-the-league type of problem, or are we the only one who are always dealing with injuries on the offensive line?
I mean, in a way,
specifically the tackle position.
Somebody like the Minnesota Vikings would like a word with you.
In a way,
it's also starting quarterback.
Generally speaking, I mean,
it's a problem. We do an
teams.
NFL segment every day on 105.3 The Fan, and we probably go through 4 or 5 injuries a day, major injuries on teams.
Yeah.
So it's part of camp.
Yeah, in a way, yes. Offensive line, there's not a wealthy or a healthy amount of bodies there on the offensive line that can be NFL caliber players that can step in and be ready to go. I mean, the Cowboys they have the luxury of interior depth right now, and that's something that not a lot of teams can say. Yeah. And if they do get into a pinch during the season, that interior depth could actually really help them because they have a guy named Tyler Smith who has great experience at left tackle. Yeah. But it's a league-wide problem, but right now I would say the Cowboys are dealing with this problem a little bit harsher right now compared to some other teams just because they just lost 2 tackle bodies rather quickly in the last few days.
Yeah, your thing with Bostic, that's a bad high ankle sprain that they're talking about. Probably not lost for the year, but they're going to have to probably do some surgery there to fix that. And they use that tightrope procedure is what they now to kind of hopefully get it. Probably not lost for the year, but it's a significant injury.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Tackle's a hard position to replace. Not all guys have the skill to do it. Right. You see a lot of times guys will come from college and they'll slide them to the inside because tackle is a very tough position to play in the NFL. All right, so we'll be back on next Tuesday. We'll wrap up this camp and kind of give you guys our opinions on what we've seen holistically throughout camp, and then get ready to head back to Frisco. Get another week of some practices in, and then we are into the season. It's that time. It's about to be cut down time, and we will get into the 2024 NFL season. Until then, for Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, Nick Harris, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.